Welcome, everybody, to Winner Circle Sports Betting Channel. I'm Ross Benjamin, the host of the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast, and I got my trio back together today. It is Tuesday, August the 15th. Jesse Schule from jesseschule.com and gamblersworld.net, and Mr. Sean Higgs returns from Las Vegas, where he had an excellent time. If you look at all the photos, I guess he could tell you further. Anyway, Sean, welcome back.
Thank you for being back. Everybody's happy I'm back except one guy who says I could do without Shane. He doesn't even know my name.
But that's the guy who's been on this crusade. I don't know. Maybe
against me personally.
Maybe he bought picks from you in the past and he caught you on a bad day. I don't know.
It could be. I'm
but,
sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
They must not have been NFL picks, right?
Yeah, definitely not NFL picks.
or recent NFL picks. Anyway,
oh, man.
Anyway, Jesse, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, Ross. I only had one play in week 1 of the preseason, but it was the biggest blowout on the board. So you're in good company up there on the leaderboards, my man.
Yes, you as always. We were at the leaderboards last year too, on top. So I think we were 1-2 at sports capping, and I know that it's again 20-10 since 2021 for me with the NFL preseason, 76-52 since 2010, all documented by sports capping, an independent source. That's 59%. Jesse and Sean both, if you look at the leaderboards from last year in the NFL preseason, they're both there. Like I said, Jesse on top, me number 2, and Sean was in the top 20 as well. So, you know what? The records speak for itself.
The all-time leaderboards as well. All three of us feature prominently on the all-time leaderboards. I think, Ross, you're right up near the top. And Sean was ahead of me. I just passed the legendary Sean Higgs this past week, so excited about that.
Well, that's a feather in my cap anytime I could be spoken in the same company as you two gentlemen. And I mean that sincerely. And, I got to say this on the air. I can't thank you both enough because, A, you've been extremely reliable. B, you've been extremely professional. And C, you've done a terrific job on the show. And viewers really enjoy the show. And you can see by the views how much we're growing and subscribers we're growing, which speaks to this, folks. If you're watching on your PC, you'll see a WC button in the bottom right-hand corner of your video box. That stands for Winner Circle. But if you click it, it'll subscribe you to the channel. There's absolutely no cost. There's no strings attached. And also, if you're watching on your mobile device, you'll see a black subscribe button. You can't miss it right underneath your video box. And hit that, folks, and you're set to go. I mean, and while you're there, go into your settings at YouTube and just hit that alert notification bell for our show. And upon any of our shows going up, you'll be notified immediately. By the way, we will start broadcasting live tomorrow on StreamYard, so I'm looking forward to that. And what better way to start the live broadcasting? These two gentlemen will be back with me again tomorrow. So let's get her going, boys. The NFL preseason. We're talking preseason action on Saturday, August 19th. I'll be covering New England and Green Bay. Jesse will be looking at the Jags and the Lions. And Sean Higgs will be looking at the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans. So let's start with you, Jesse. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Detroit Lions. Currently, the Jaguars, once again, for the second week in a row, are a 4-point road favorite against the Lions. They covered as a 4-point favorite in a 5-point win over Dallas last week on the road. Could they do it again, Jesse?
I think they can, Ross. I really like this third-string quarterback they got in Jacksonville, Nathan Rourke out of the CFL. You've probably heard me talk about him on this show in the past. He was dominant last year in the CFL. I mean, he really lit things up. He was successful as an Ohio Bobcat in the MAC a couple years back, and he's got a brother that's also a star for that Bobcats team. And he's probably going to be the guy that sees the majority of the time in the second half. Whether or not Doug Peterson chooses to play starters is inconsequential to me. When we talk about playing the starters, very few teams actually play the starters for a full half anymore. You're looking at a series or two, maybe the first quarter. it's hard to win a game in the first quarter. There's still 3 more quarters to play. Neither one of these two head coaches really has a great history. Both guys have losing records in their career for the preseason. But when I look at Doug Peterson, it's interesting to me the way things have unfolded for him to get his 9-12 overall record in the preseason. He was 4-0 as a rookie head coach. He was 2-2 the following year, and then he went on a 2-10 stretch over a 3-year period. And then they won a big game in week 1 against Dallas. And, maybe that momentum's starting to shift again. Maybe he's got the team with the depth, particularly the quarterback depth, to get it done. And Dan Campbell, on the other hand, 2-5 all time. And the quarterback depth for me is a concern for the Lions. They did win in week 1, but Nate Sudfeld, 15 of 28 passing, 194 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. And he's probably the guy that's going to see the bulk of the time throughout the preseason. Adrian Martinez, who is a guy that wasn't even that great. He had his moments in college, but overall was, you could say, a borderline disappointing college career at Nebraska. Teddy Bridgewater probably will see some time for the Lions, but at the end of the day, I like the depth for the Jaguars better, and I will take the Jaguars as the favorite in this game.
Yeah, well, you make a compelling case, and you're right. Doug Peterson, under this preseason, having gone 2-10 ATS in his last 12 as a NFL head coach during preseason action. And again, that Jacksonville team is a very deep team. And when you talk about guys like Nathan Rourke, Sean, people say Nathan Rourke. Well, we're not talking about a guy that we think is going to carry a team to the Super Bowl. We're talking about a guy who's had a lot of success in the CFL. He was a starter at Ohio from his freshman year on at quarterback, and they had a lot of success with him at quarterback. And now he's going to be going against backups. He's not going against starters. So,
and Ross, you mentioned the Super Bowl. For him, this is the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he needs to play well to earn a job in the NFL. If he doesn't light it up in these games, he's going right back to the CFL or the Arena League. This is the Super Bowl for him. Everything's at stake for guys like him in the preseason. So that's where my money's at is betting on guys like that need to perform well to get a paycheck.
And you mentioned Teddy Bridgewater, and again, I'm going to go back to the point you made last week with Cincinnati's backup to Joe Burrow. Why would you take chances with your backup quarterback when your starting quarterback's hurt right now? Why would you take chances with a guy like Bridgewater, who has had well documented injury issues, most notably that ugly knee injury he had a couple years ago, when you're depending on him to be a backup quarterback? That I think, the difference between him and a Jared Goff is minimal. I mean, I think if you lost Goff, Bridgewater, you could plug him right in, and I don't think the Lions' season is going to be affected like some other backup quarterbacks taking over for a starter. I can go, give an example, the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. They have to go to Kyle Allen. It's a whole different season. They're a whole different team. You know what I mean? I don't see that being the case with Detroit. But anyway, Sean, do you have any thoughts on that particular subject?
Well, I know Rourke's younger brother there is MAC Player of the Year last year. I mean, he's a pretty good quarterback. Look at a little Io here in week 0, folks, a little road doggy. He mentioned Peterson. So he started the 4-0 as a rookie. And, I kind of look at that as he had some bad years in between, but that's when Philly was good. He's not looking to get guys hurt.
Yeah.
And I had the Lions last week. I am 1-4 in preseason this year. That's 1-4. We'll see how we do. I was kind of leaning Detroit here, but the Rourke, but more importantly, I mean, CJ Beathard's a guy who started about a dozen NFL games for the Niners. So, I mean, you got 2 guys coming in fighting for a spot, as Jesse just said. I mean, laying the 4 might not be a bad idea here. I mean, I was kind of thinking, I'll take the Lions. Sudfeld, he wasn't terrible in his game. Martinez is Bridgewater might get a start. It'll be more Sudfeld, but now I'm kind of leaning, you know what? I got a QB battle to back up Lawrence here in in Jacksonville. No, I don't think they'll keep 3 guys. I mean,
yeah.
And Beathard won't go to a practice squad. He'd get, you can't. Rourke might be a practice squad guy, which is sad because he might have the not better long term, but
and there's a probability he won't get picked up as opposed to a guy like
CJ Beathard would get picked up.
Yeah, he would get picked
someone
up.
would take him.
Yeah, if you cut Beathard, somebody
he started 10 games.
Yeah, or try to move him to the practice squad. Somebody eventually is going to have a quarterback issue, and like you said, Sean, with his starting experience, he would be a very popular choice to bring in for some quarterback depth on another roster. Anyway, and the Detroit Lions, they did defeat the Giants last week, but keep in mind, folks, the Giants, I believe, Jesse, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you're good at this. I believe the Giants outgained them in that game, but the difference in the game was a 95-yard punt return by the Lions, which made the difference in the outcome of the game, basically.
I think you're 100% correct about that, Ross.
All right. Now we go to Sean, the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans. Houston with an impressive performance last week and a win at New England. Again, we're talking preseason, folks, so let's not get carried away. But having said that, the Texans are a 3-point favorite, and the total is 39.5. This game will be played right in Sean Higgs' backyard in Houston, Texas. So, Sean, what do you got for us?
I got upper deck tickets, $65 a pop down here for this game. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna pay $65 for. I'm taking my whole family. You're out of your mind, Texans. I'm not paying that. Sitting the upper deck for a preseason game.
Yeah,
really?
To see C.J. Stroud, who
for what? For 5? I mean, he didn't look too bad. I mean, he completed 3 or 4 passes. One was an interception. But all right, enough about the preseason charging that, and parking probably be $50. Get out of here with that nonsense for this kind of show they put on down here.
Now that the economics are out of the way, Sean, tell us what you think about it.
You want to get me on a rant today? How do you charge for preseason football like that?
We've had enough rants off air. We don't need to continue on.
All right, let's. You know what? You're right. We got to keep this short because we've been talking for an hour and a half already, even though we're only 10 minutes into the show. Give me I like the under 39.5 here with these two teams. So I do, believe it or not, I do like the Texans here. I get Case Keenum and Davis Mills, 2 starters who have a little bit of success in NFL. So we're playing a Dolphin team. Let's be honest. Last week's game, they lose 19-3 or whatever, some ugly nonsense. They threw 3 interceptions, Skylar Thomas and Matt White, or Thompson rather. 3 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 1 gets brought back for a touchdown. They give up a punt return. Speaking of punt return TDs in the Lions game. So the defense is there. The poor play is there. Let's be honest with that squad. It's resting on Tua. Right? They can't afford anybody to get hurt. I'm expecting another whatever kind of performance out of that team. Texans, you got the new head coach. They're trying to, let's change the atmosphere. We're going to win and this and that. Even if CJ Stroud plays a quarter, because now we lose a game. So I'll ask you this question after this. He'll play a little bit. You got 2 starters who are not going to be backups. We talked about Beathard and Rourke. These 2 guys, a bigger fight to go on here. Lean Texans, but give me the under 39.5. And real fast for the both of you. Normally I'm a under preseason guy. You get 4 games. You kind of know the good game's going to be that 3rd game. Last year we had the little first time, no, less games. Now I was really looking at some of these games like, wow, is this going to be the over week? Like, is everyone going to play this week as opposed to next week? Because then they have an extra week off. Thoughts on that? I know it's not really what we're talking about, but
it's
you guys are pretty
point.
good in preseason.
You
got to change a little bit. This isn't like 2011 or 1998. No. It's you lose a game, you had a year under about, and you saw last weekend more overs than unders. I mean, we got 10, 11 overs. I mean,
you would assume that week 2 would naturally become dress rehearsal week, which used to take place in week 3. But I've spent some time thinking about that, and I struggle to see absolute evidence of such. I'm seeing a lot more teams playing their starters in week 1, or giving them,
more reps at least.
A series or 2 in week 1, a series or 2 in week 2. Like I said, it seems like nobody's playing the starters for the first half as they did for the dress rehearsal week 3. We play the starters for the first half. it doesn't seem like anybody's really doing that anymore. I shouldn't say nobody, but as a rule, that's not happening anymore from where I'm standing.
Okay. So my opinion is that, yes, what the guys are talking about is back when they were playing 4 preseason games as opposed to 3 now. Did it start last year or in 2000?
Last year.
Last year, okay.
Last year.
So ordinarily, it was a rule of thumb that you could trust the fact that week 3 out of the 4 games was going to be the dress rehearsal, as we call it, where the starters play sometimes as much as a half and sometimes even going into a series in the second half because head coaches wanted them to be acclimated to coming out of the locker room and playing a series in the second half. So now, like Jesse alluded to, that seems to be dissipating as time goes on. Here's the thing, okay? I wouldn't rule out a team playing their starters for at least a half in week 3 this year. Why? Because as opposed to what they did before, you played game 4 of the preseason on a Thursday night. The season began the following Thursday night with the opening game and then the following Sunday. There was no rest in between. Now, the way they have it formatted now, last year and this year, is you're getting a week off between week 3 and the opening week of the season. Yeah. So do you want to go 3 games or 3 weeks without your starters seeing live action? I don't know anything. Nothing's etched in stone, but that's a point that I would really consider before I say week 3 is going to be a week that it's going to be similar to week 4 in past years where nobody's going to play. Everybody wants to get to the finish line. All guys that are vying for the last 5 or 6 spots on the team, if not more, depending on the depth of the roster, are going to play. So I'm not consigned to that yet. I want to see, I think a true indication will be what we see this week in terms of who plays in week 2. Now if we see the starters go a half with some teams in week 2, I would automatically assume that's not going to be the case in week 3. If we don't, and we see similar to what the patterns that we saw in week 1, then I would be on high alert that I just can't believe a head coach, I know you want to get to the finish line of the preseason healthy, is going to be comfortable with their starters not seeing live action for a full 3 weeks before the season starts. So again, it's all opinions and it's all conjecture on our parts, but something to take into consideration. All right. So Sean, you like the under 39.5 in the Dolphins Texans.
Yeah. And one last thing I say about the Texas game is that these guys are holding like joint practices. So you're not going to see much of these guys. It's going to kind of be a go through the motion kind of game, I think. So,
yeah, I mean, and the intensity is probably going to be higher during these practices, these joint practices they're having together. How many times have we seen fisticuffs break out in these joint practices, and then the game, everybody it lacks the physicality that it's been hyped to be all week long when they had joint practices. So again, we're dealing with a lot of stuff that we don't have to account for in the regular season, but our records speak that we know what we're doing when we're making these picks. As a matter of fact, by the way, folks, 11-5 we were last week with our week 1 NFL preseason picks. On the handicappers that were assigned their games, we went a combined 11-5 on the show last week. That's pretty damn good in my mind.
Well, we didn't have Shane coming in and messing it up.
Shane, yes.
That Shane's a real pain in the butt, that guy.
Tell Shane to stay in Vegas. You guys do a lot better without him. Anyway, I'm going to look at New England and Green Bay, and I'll make this as short as possible. Green Bay is a 3-point favorite, and the total is 37, as you guys well know, and as the audience should know by now. I put a lot of stock in head coaching trends during the NFL preseason. I firmly believe that the head coaches really show their hand in terms of how they like to play preseason action, whether one guy has a winning record, another guy has a losing record, low-scoring games, high-scoring games. Well, in this particular situation, under Bill Belichick, the New England Patriots have gone 10-2 to the under in their last 12 NFL preseason games, including last week. They lost 20-9 to Houston at home. That game stayed well under the total. It was one of my 2 winners with my premium picks. But by the way, folks, I went 2-0 with last week in the week 1 of the NFL preseason. And also, if there's a total of 36.5 within those that 10-2. The number goes to 9-0 to the under, 36.5 or greater, 9-0 to the under, with a shade under 31 points per game being scored in each contest on average. Green Bay coming off a 36-19 win at Cincinnati last week, and they covered as a 4-point favorite. That game easily sailed over the total of 35.5. But a thing to keep in mind with LaFleur as head coach in Green Bay, they've gone 3-0 to the under when the total has been 36.5 or greater. And I got one of those NFL preseason betting angles that a lot of you have indicated you like, so I'll share it with you. Anytime you have a home favorite like Green Bay, and they're a home favorite of between 2 and 7 points, the total's 41.5 or less, and they're coming off an away favorite covered, which they did last week. They were a 4-point favorite at Cincinnati, and as I alluded to, win 36-19. Not only are they coming off an away favorite cover, but they scored 34 points or more in that game, which obviously they did. Those teams in that situation, like Green Bay, have played 10-0 to the under since 2010. That's just not Green Bay. That's every NFL team in this exact situation in NFL preseason action since 2010. 10-0 to the under, 27.9 points scored per game. So there you go. You guessed it. I'm going under the total in this game. New England and Green Bay, under 37. Any thoughts? Start with you, Jesse.
Well, let's talk about rookie quarterbacks. We did mention rookie quarterbacks were, we expected them to struggle, and I think we hit the nail on the head with that one. Stroud, Bryce Young, a handful of other guys that came in highly touted. They all struggled, and I kind of expect that to continue in week 2.
Sean, any other thoughts?
On this game, I do kind of like the under with you. Now, Green Bay, I'm going to jump into the trends like you did, but Sean Clifford got a lot of reps.
And he played well.
Last game.
He played great, which I get.
Listen, Cincinnati's, you lose your starting quarterback, they're going to really reel it in. They're like, they don't want to lose anybody else. So that's why you see the line this week went from like 4-7 against Atlanta with Cincinnati. So they're making no bones about, we just got to get to the regular season. But I like the under more here because I think we'll see more of Jordan Love. And as much as I like Green Bay coming up for this season, he's still got to get a few more reps in. 4-7, like they put these guys in a series or two. I think he talking about guys going a half or a quarter. I think you might see him play a little bit longer today.
Yeah.
Work some kinks out. I'm still with you on the under, though, because he's going to be maybe asked to throw. Let's check out the deep ball today. Let's, do a couple things here, but I'm with you on the under here, 37.
And for the record, Jesse mentioned it last week, and I agreed with him. Yes, Sean Clifford's coming off a great game, but I was not a big Sean Clifford guy, even at Penn State. I'd be shocked if he even comes close to matching those types of numbers when he gets his chance this week. So in any event, Jesse, tell the folks what you got going on this week and any hot streaks you like to share with us.
Yeah, 17-5 with NFL preseason. That's 77% since 2019, and that's good enough for top of the list at sportscapping.com. And I've got 3 picks up for week 2 already, and you can get those at gamblersworld.net and jesseschule.com.
There you go, Sean Higgs. You've been away for a while, but you've still been posting picks. And I know you said you got off to a bad start in NFL preseason week 1. What do you got coming up this week? Anything going on in baseball as well?
Well, nice little baseball run, 58%, 35 and 25 run in baseball. I'll take it, so nice little run there. And for NFL, like I started looking, obviously last night we got in the games for the week, I started looking at those. I haven't really posted anything on these games yet, but you got my thoughts on these 3 games here today. And obviously when I dig into the free picks, I dig extra deep because I don't want to just give out something for poops and giggles, as they say, So the one game I was looking at, though, I want to jump on a little maybe San Fran plus money here, but maybe a little money line play here plus they're 4, but I'd rather look at take the money line in that game. Believe it or not,
especially coming off an embarrassing performance, right?
not only, I just think this is a spot where quarterbacks play a little better. The team play. I mean, the coach, they're expected to be Super Bowl contenders. And Denver, as much as they got a new coach and they got to get their little swag back after a bad year, I just think this is a San Fran kind of spot here. Just want to, again, I got to dig a little deeper on it, but I do like San Fran money line.
All right.
There you go. You got a premium play, folks. Enjoy it. That's probably
Sean Higgs. You can find all his picks at gamblersworld.net. Jesse as well, me as well. And if you've been following me, you've been very happy of late. I mean, since August the 5th, I'm on an 18-6 all sports run. So doing very well there. And also in the NFL preseason, like I alluded to, folks, 2-0 to start. In week 1, I'll have several more plays this week in the NFL preseason. NFL preseason since 2021, 20-10, 67%, and 76-52 documented by sportscapping.com, which is good for 59% net since 2010. So there you have it, guys. And one other thing, a lot of you out there, don't like to tip us. And I'm not talking about money. There's a like button right underneath there. Okay. And I know when I go out and I have a couple drinks at a bar, especially if there's a female bartender, my wife's not listening, I hope, I give them a tip. Well, we're not asking for money. All we're asking for what to do with that like button, Jesse, is do what?
You want to smash that like button.
Smash that like button, because it's just a small token of your appreciation for the work, effort, and research we do on the show to bring you the best sports betting information you'll find anywhere on the internet today. And again, folks, remember, 11-5 in week 1. We'll have coverage on all 16 games in week 2. Me and Doug covered the 2 Friday night games yesterday. I'll be covering the Thursday night game later today, Cleveland and Philadelphia. We'll be back tomorrow live, 10:30 Eastern time, with Ross Benjamin, Jesse Schule, and Sean Higgs. Until then, the trio of us three would like to say, have a great day, good luck, and God bless, folks.